He said I was off limits. My brother's best friend. The one who looked at me like I was still the little girl in pigtails. But I saw the way his eyes lingered when I walked into the room that summer. I felt the tension when we brushed shoulders. He tried to resist, hard. But every time he called me off limits, my body burned with the urge to call him mine. Late one night, when the house was silent and his voice was nothing but a whisper behind me, I gave in, and so did he. He said it would ruin everything. I said it would awaken us. This is the story of how I crossed the line, and how he let me. I wasn't his mistake. I became his obsession. When I first met Jackson Hayes, he didn't even look at me the way I wanted him to. He barely acknowledged me, really. I was just Savannah Miller, his best friend's younger sister, the girl who wore oversized sweatshirts, drank too much iced coffee, and stayed up too late watching classic movies. But something shifted the summer after I turned 21. Something deep, invisible, magnetic. It started the day I came home from college for break. I'd cut my hair into soft waves and started wearing clothes that hugged my body in ways I wasn't used to. I didn't do it for him, at least that's what I told myself. But when I walked into my brother Levi's backyard barbecue and saw Jackson standing by the grill in that tight gray shirt, flipping burgers with a cool ease, I knew I was in trouble. That man didn't just have arms that could wrap around your whole world, he had eyes that could melt you down to your soul. He looked at me. For real this time. And he froze. "Savi," he said, his lips parting slightly. I bit my lip and smiled. "Surprised?" "You look," he coughed and turned back to the burgers. "Different." I knew he meant beautiful. Grown. A woman. Later that evening, while everyone else was deep in conversation or chasing kids across the lawn, I walked into the kitchen and caught him alone. The air was thick with silence and something more. Something we both felt but couldn't name yet. "You don't have to pretend I'm still a kid, Jackson," I said quietly. He didn't turn around right away. When he did, his jaw tightened like he was fighting something. "You're Levi's sister." I stepped closer, heart thudding. "I'm also a woman. And I see the way you look at me when you think no one's watching." His eyes dropped to my lips, just for a second. And then he pulled away. "You're off limits, Savannah." But the way he said it, it wasn't a declaration. It was a plea. I didn't sleep that night. I kept playing his words over and over. Off limits. But in my chest, something bold rose. Why should I be a secret he couldn't touch when everything inside me screamed for his hands, his voice, his touch? The next few days became a game. Innocent moments filled with too long glances, brushes of hands when we passed plates at the table, his voice turning softer when he said my name. I wore that silky sundress one afternoon, the one with the low back and delicate straps that barely held on, and caught him watching me from the porch like he couldn't breathe. I walked over. I was done waiting. "You keep saying I'm off limits," I said, standing close enough to feel his warmth. "But I don't believe you." "Savi," he warned, his voice hoarse. I reached up and gently placed my hand on his chest, feeling the rapid beat beneath my palm. "Tell me you don't want me." He clenched his jaw, his eyes heavy with restraint. "I can't." "Then don't call me off limits again," I whispered. "Because I've already called you mine." His lips parted, and for a second, I thought he'd pull me into him. But he stepped back. His voice was rough. "You have no idea what you're doing to me." I smiled, stepping around him slowly, brushing my fingers along his hand as I passed. "Yes, I do." That night, the heat inside me was unbearable. I laid in bed, remembering every breath between us, every glance, every whispered word. My body ached with a tension I couldn't name. And when I heard his footsteps outside my room late that night, pausing for just a second too long, I held my breath. But he didn't knock. He didn't come in. Not that night. 2 days later, I saw him at the lake. Everyone was out on the dock, laughing, playing music. I wore my favorite red bikini, the one I knew left little to the imagination. When I came up from the water and shook my hair out, Jackson was standing by the trees, his sunglasses hiding nothing. His jaw tightened. His knuckles whitened as he gripped a bottled water. I swam over to the edge and pulled myself out slowly. I took my time, knowing he was watching every drop of water roll down my skin. I walked over, smiling. "You okay?" I teased. He looked away. "You're doing this on purpose." "Doing what?" He grabbed my wrist gently and pulled me just far enough away from the crowd. His voice was low, close to my ear. "You can't keep teasing me, Savannah. You don't know what I'm holding back." "I know exactly what you're holding back," I whispered. He looked at me, the conflict in his eyes raw and burning. Then, his lips brushed my ear. "Come to the guest house tonight. After midnight. No one will be awake." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. I was already his. That night, I couldn't breathe. My hands shook as I reached for the doorknob of the little guest house behind the main house. I pushed it open slowly. The lights were dim. He was standing near the window, the moonlight tracing the outline of his shoulders. When he turned, there was no hesitation left in him. I walked to him, and before I could say a word, he reached for me. His hands slid into my hair, his lips hovering just above mine. I tried to stay away, he murmured. "Don't," I whispered. "Not now." And then he kissed me. Not soft. Not sweet. Like he'd been starving for me. Like he needed me to know how many nights he'd dreamed of this. His hands found the curve of my back, the arch of my hip. He kissed down my neck, the breath in my lungs tangled with his name. Every inch of me felt like it belonged to him, like I'd waited my whole life for this moment. But we didn't cross every line. Not yet. It was hotter that way. The tension. The ache. He laid me down on the soft couch, his body pressed gently against mine. His hands roamed my skin like he was learning it, mapping every reaction. I gasped when he kissed the inside of my wrist. Moaned softly when his lips trailed down my collarbone. But when he stopped, just when things felt on the edge of something wild, I understood why. "I want you too much to ruin this," he whispered, forehead pressed to mine. "I'm already ruined," I said, smiling, breathless. He chuckled softly, brushing hair from my face. "You're dangerous, Savannah Miller." "And you're mine," I whispered back. The days that followed felt like stolen time. Hidden touches in the hallway. Whispered conversations at night. Every second, we flirted with the edge. And the secret only made it hotter. Every night, I imagined what it would be like when we finally let go, completely. No more rules. No more pretending. One night, I stayed late in the kitchen after everyone else had gone to bed. I knew he'd find me. He did. I wore nothing but a soft tank top and cotton shorts. Barefoot, warm from the heat, my skin humming. He stepped in quietly, closing the door behind him. His eyes darkened as they swept over me. "You know what you're doing," he said. "I do," I whispered. "And so do you." He reached for me, slow, controlled, until our bodies met like puzzle pieces. His lips hovered above mine. Last chance to stop me. I'm not stopping anything, I said, sliding my hand around his neck. I've waited too long. This time, there was no pulling back. His mouth crashed into mine, and every kiss was a confession. Every touch a surrender. He lifted me onto the counter, his hands gripping my thighs, his body pressing between them. My fingers twisted in his shirt, desperate, breathless. We still didn't cross that final line. But we came closer than ever. And in those moments, it wasn't about what we couldn't do. It was about everything we already were. His. Mine. The day we finally told my brother, it wasn't dramatic. Jackson stood beside me, strong, unapologetic. I love her, he said simply. Levi blinked, then nodded. Then treat her like gold. He already did. Now, months later, Jackson sleeps beside me most nights. His fingers trace circles on my skin when we lie in silence. He kisses me like I'm both a secret and a celebration. And sometimes, when I remind him of that day he called me off limits, he just laughs and kisses me harder. Because he knows the truth. He called me off limits. But I called him mine. And in the end, mine is exactly what he became.